All right. So have you been playing with your infrared? Have you been shooting at all?
I've done a little bit of shooting, not a lot, but I've got images that kind of look like that red.
Yes. Yes, you absolutely will. Um, Now, your camera's still set up the way I sent it to you.
Yes,
So you see black and white on the back of your camera.
correct, correct.
Okay. Are you shooting RAW plus JPEG,
Um,
or are you just
I know
shooting
I'm
RAW?
shooting raw. I think I'm just shooting raw. I'm not sure if I'm shooting JPEG too. I'll
Okay.
have to look.
Well, if you're shooting RAW plus JPEG, when you download them, you would see. Oh, let me change my cursor and make it monstrous so that people can see it, including you. Uh, Refs, accessibility, display. Hey, I said display cursor and huge. Now can you see it?
Yes. Oh yeah, I can
All
see it.
right. Y'all. Okay. So when you download, if you're shooting RAW plus JPEG, you will see both images. You will see your JPEG in black and white because the camera's set up that way. If you're only shooting in RAW, you're only going to get.
I'm only seeing the red, so I'm not shooting raw plus JPEG. I know
Okay,
that.
but we're going to set you up today so that you don't have to shoot in RAW plus JPEG.
Okay.
Um, because what you can do, this is one of my older ones. So this is from the GH6, same camera you're working with, because I
Okay.
wanted to show you exactly how that was working. On my GH4, I built a little setup in Photoshop that when it sees that camera has made the file, it will automatically apply a preset.
Okay.
And then so you would automatically see these in the black and white form, like this,
Uh huh.
versus the straight out of the camera like that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. Are you still shooting three exposures?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you'll get a feel for when you want to change that up. I'm still shooting bracketing. Just, it's easy to throw things away. It's hard to shoot it again.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, so I stay with that bracket one each on other side. So there would be the darkest. That would be the one that the camera said was right on, and that would be overexposed.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so if we go ahead and open up one of these, I'll show you the way I've been processing, and then we'll also play together. Wake up, go. I said, I said. Oh, there it goes. I'm like, holy crap! Come on, man. Um, so this is the way it comes in.
Correct.
You can set up. See if I remember how to do it. All right. So number one, man, just easily you can bang the saturation out,
Okay.
and then you can also hit the auto button.
Okay.
With those two things, if you only did that, what the auto button will do is every time it sees an image, and I'm finding auto has gotten much better. In the old days, man, if you hit auto, it'd be like, no, this sucks.
Right.
When you look at the auto now, it does a pretty good job of balancing, adding some tones, some blacks, opening up, adding some whites, taking away some blacks, or adding some blacks, and knocking down the highlights and opening up the shadows. So you can see, just look at that, how quickly that just gave us
Right.
a pretty clean. So this is before, and then this is after. Whoops, I went too far. Let's try it again. Command Z, forward and forward. So that's,
Okay.
look at how, that's a pretty darn clean black and white to start with.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. So with that in mind, um, you can, right here in these little three dots,
Yes.
more image settings,
Uh huh.
go over here. And what we want to do is go to, let's see. See, I haven't done this in a while. So set raw default. Is that it? No.
Create a preset.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's up here. I always forget where this stuff. Oh, here it is.
You're
This
great.
little where it says presets.
Right.
That works. Okay, so we've got that in there. So in here we want to create a preset. There's the dialogue I'm looking for.
Okay.
So within here, you'll go down here, you'll undo most of these. So there's a button for make them all go away, please.
On the right side it says check none.
Check none. There it is. Each time they do a different version, they move all these little things around. And since I haven't been in here for a while, I don't think I've seen this version. Okay, so anyway, we'll check none. And down here, you want to say apply auto tone adjustments.
Okay.
And then we also want to apply the saturation. So those were the two things that we did to make this go.
Right.
Now, you can also make it version on your ISO, but since I don't mess around because most of the time when I'm I don't change my ISO. I shoot at the ISO 200. And if you didn't know, 200 is the best ISO for the Micro Four Thirds cameras. Okay. It's the equivalent to the 100 in the full frame.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So what we want to do is go to, I think, we want to name this. So we'll call this black white conversion. And this will be the G6, so I can throw it away later. And now where is the user presets, custom subset? And I think if we say, okay, we now have one. Now you can, okay, so here it is. Here it is, infrared.
Yeah, it's the second one on that.
Black conversion, yeah, black conversion G6. So you can have this on here, and I'm not sure how to do it. So I'm going to let you find out how to do this because I don't want to mess with it. But there is a way to assign that whenever it sees this camera, and you can, again, if you shot at different ISOs, you could say, okay, whenever you see this camera at ISO 200, make it a black and white and do the auto adjust, do this adjustment for it.
Okay.
And like I say, I'm not sure where it is, but that's how you put that stuff together. And very quickly, now you don't have to shoot RAW plus JPEGs. And because we've got it into the auto, it will take your ones that are overexposed and underexposed, and it will bring them together, and you'll have an even better idea of which image will be the best for that particular capture.
Okay.
And because sometimes I'm finding that I'm like, oh man, I why am I doing this? Bracketing exposure all the time, and then I'll come across one and go, whoa, that's why. Because if I didn't overexpose technically that image, it wouldn't have played nicely with the numbers.
You're not really combining the brackets then. You're basically just using it to see which one's going to be the best image to use.
Okay, so it's both.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It can be when I'm working with them. So I'm just going to say done here. It can be when I'm working with them that it's like, nah, I don't have enough. I'm not getting enough detail in the blacks with my overexposed one, but I need these highlights to be this bright. And then yes, at that point, I make the decision to combine them together.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm finding an infrared doesn't seem to need that unless, of course, you've got, again, depends on your exposure levels. If your density of the entire scene is really wide, you're going to need to blend them together to get your full tones.
Now would you process both those images that same way?
Yes.
The high and the low.
Well, no, I may at that point.
Then I would you combine them first and then?
No, what I would do is I'm going to open them both at the same time. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm processing this one for just the highlights. And I would go ahead and, I need these to be a little brighter. I don't care about the shadows, so I can open up the shadows a little bit more because that's not a hassle for me. So I'm going to bring that way up. And because I'm processing for the highlights, I want to start that glow a little bit. I'm going to push up the whites just a little bit. I'm going to leave the blacks up, and I may even take the blacks up because, again, I'm just looking for this area right here. Now, for this one, I'm processing for the blacks or for the underexposure, and I may even bring this down because I want to get this sky really dark. That'll make the clouds pop. So now I'm going to take this and because I'm working with a lot of sky on this, I may knock the texture down some so that gets smoother up there. It automatically threw some clarity in there, so I'm going to knock the clarity back a little bit because I want all this to get really smooth. I don't want to see any noise in there yet.
Right.
Okay, so then I would take the two and then open them up together. And then drag one on top of the other. If you were doing, a bunch of multiples, you might want to do it from Bridge and then highlight all three and say load into Photoshop layers, and it will automatically stack them up for you. So it depends on how many layers you do. When I'm doing my focus stacking, I always go to let Photoshop do it because it'll pile them all together.
Right.
Okay, so then I'll throw away the other one. I don't want to save it. So now I've got my two layers. Now what you're going to find is, ooh, it's not quite, because I wasn't on a tripod. And sometimes even if you are on a tripod, they don't quite line up.
Yeah, I noticed that every now and then. They're not quite.
And you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a fix for that. So we're going to unlock the background layer, select both layers, or highlight both layers. Go up to edit. And in the edit, there's a thing here called auto align layers.
Okay.
And you don't have to worry about vignette removal or geometric distortion because they were both shot with the same lens at the same time.
Right.
If you were doing something different, you might. And just throw it into auto and say, okay. Now look, now they are perfectly lined up. Now you've got a little edge where it didn't quite make it. You have the choice of either cropping in just a little bit or merging them down and saying, or not merging them down yet, but at the end you would merge them down and then maybe do a little
content aware type
content aware, or a little rubber stamp or whatever.
Right.
Okay, so now we've got our two images together. There's our highlights one, and it's covered by our darks one. And then you could try something like, what happens if I put this into soft light? Oh, you can play with your blend modes.
Okay.
Blend modes is an amazing little thing. We go to overlay. Overlay is always more aggressive. Soft light is kind of cool. Now, in this particular case, I like what soft light has done to the sky, but I think it's gotten a little too aggressive down here. Then it's time for a mask. So we pop on a mask. Hello. Big cursors are weird. Okay. Oh, I got two layers selected. That's fine. Stop it, Bob. Okay. So we'll put a mask on this one. Then we can go G for gradient. Just go, or go the other way. Why is it not playing? Normal. Okay, G for gradient. It is not. Oh man, I hate when Photoshop doesn't play nice when I'm teaching. Okay, so when your gradient doesn't work, just take the brush and maybe set it to 50%, make it nice and big, and I want to exit. Now I could Yeah, that's too much. So let's make it 20%. I just want to ease up that so it's not quite so hoochie bark. And now see gently,
Okay.
I've kind of eased up that. And then we can go the other way. We could
Right.
add, there's a couple ways to do this. You could do this with a curves layer as well. So on a curves layer, I want this to be just a little bit darker, but I don't want to mess with that other one. So I'm gonna go up here and pull down this just a little bit. And then I'll control where it's going to be by option, in this particular case, option delete. Are you Mac or PC?
I'm Mac.
Okay, so option delete that gives you the foreground color and fills it. And control delete gives you the background color, whichever way it is.
Okay.
So that's like a really quick way to fill and unfill your masks rather than edit, fill this damn thing up. Okay, so once we have that in there, we hit the X for the exchange and then just gently make this a little bit smaller, maybe make it 30%. And now I can control the sky on its own as well. So again, we're looking for just ways to do that. Now, the other thing you could do before you started to do that, let's throw that mask away, is, yeah, delete that. We could go up here and kind of say, you know what, just give me that stuff. And now when you make a mask, oh, it's the wrong way. No, that's the right way. That's right. So now I can do that. And now I can just change the opacity and dial it into taste. With this particular method, you have to be careful of how it made its selection or how well the selection was made. You may need to go in and tweak that a little bit, but it can do the heavy lifting for you and put you into a good space. Okay, any questions on that, Steve?
So far, I'm okay.
Okay, so let's say now I'm happy with where I've processed so far. Now I want to make it more infrared.
Yes.
We've kind of just done it with a gone to black and white. So now we're going to take all those layers and if you want to be careful, just in case, because once you start processing your next level, you may go, oh man, I wish I had done something else underneath. So Shift, Command, Option, and E will blend all these layers together and put it up on top. So if you look here, everything that was done down here is now living on this layer. But these layers that are down below are still live.
Okay.
But they're covered up. So the finished, these three have been combined, and this is what they look like when they're all together.
Okay.
So
that's Shift, Command, Option, E.
Shift, Command, Option, E, yeah.
Okay.
E for merge.
Got it.
So it's what I call it's a magical thing because I'll do this a lot as I work along. And then if I'm happy with what's going on and I know I've gotten what I've needed from below, I'll then toss these. But in the meantime, I still have the opportunity to say, you know what, I should have done a little something different on this layer before I started my processing because now I'm seeing how it's working out.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now we have this layer all by itself. Do you have Nick?
Yes, I do.
Do you have Skylum, the Luminar 4?
Yes.
Okay, so those are the main ones that I play with. In this particular case, let's go to Nick Color Effects Pro 4.
Okay.
And once it pops up, there's a thing called Glamour Glow. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Just right there. We just, obviously I was processing an infrared image the last time I was in here. This is pretty close. Now, one thing that I found is when you do Glamour Glow, this is starting to maybe just a little too much.
Right.
Or not. This is all where start the creativity and how much you like. I like that glow and the idea of that stuff going on. So what we can do from here, though, add another filter and go to tonal contrast.
Okay.
So within tonal contrast, what we want to look at is shadows, midtones, highlights. Watch what happens. I can, oh, that's really funking things up. It's taken away the highlight. No, I want it to, oh, that's too much. Okay, so tonal contrast. Let's move tonal contrast on top of our Glamour Glow. So I just took the layer and dragged it up on top.
I didn't know you could do that.
I know. That's why we do these things. Okay, so now that it's up on top, I can dial in a little bit different. Let's see what happens when there we go. Okay, so I can dial in just a little more contrast in the highlights. So, oops, let's do it again. Add filter, tonal contrast, get up there, get up on top. Now, the ideally, if you know you're going to do this, you would do tonal contrast first and then open Glamour Glow after. Or we can uncheck the Glamour Glow so that we can see what's happening up here, and we could say, highlights. Ooh, look at that. We've snapped up the highlights a little bit more so that when we turn on the Glamour Glow, there's more detail in there.
Oh, wow.
Again, this is all where you start to, play and put things together. And then you can also control the midtones. See, we look at down here.
Yeah, look at the
now,
reflections. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this particular case, I'm going to do this twice because I want to do one for the midtones where I can control just this area here and snap this up. So, and the way to do it twice is just say, okay, so I'm going to undo that midtones one because it's bringing too much up in here. I really like, and I'm just saying this, I really like what's happening up here. So I'm going to say okay to this. And then Nick will kick out its own layer.
Right.
And you'd think with 128 gigs of RAM, I would be faster than this. It would be
much quicker, I know.
Did it not go?
Did it? I know. Now I'm starting to wonder if it didn't happen.
Bastard. Did I just turn it off? I hate when I do it wrong and then I blame the machine. Color Effects Pro 4. Let's see what we got. No, they're both up here. Oh, I must have hit cancel instead. When you have that big cursor.
The big arrow's messing you up.
Well, maybe it's not because I just did it again and it didn't go.
Doesn't look like it's playing nice today.
Let's look underneath. There it is. What the hell? Oh no, that's bridge. See, it's weird when I teach, I'm on one screen and usually I have everything spread out over two screens. All right, so it's not giving it to me. We'll have to figure out what that is. But what I would do is...
Anyway, so then you would go in and do it again.
I would turn the one off that I just did and then go in, take that same layer, go in and do it again with a slightly different processing and then blend those together.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because you have masks.
So you would turn off the Nick layer and then go back in and do it again. So you would end up with two different Nick layers.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole idea is really leveraging the use of every layer you can and giving you the most the most ability to change things up. And then you would have two Nick layers, one for your highlights, really blooming them up, and another where you've still got the bloom going, but you're going to like kick over and do those midtones a little bit. And then you can play with the shadows and everything else.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm not sure why Nick is not playing. It must be a new Photoshop version that doesn't, but it's weird because it's in my plug and my filters. Oh well. Good thing you're not a paying client. Okay, so we could do the same thing in Luminar 4. If you're going to do it in Luminar 4, make sure that you have a separate layer to begin with,
Okay.
because Nick will kick out its own layer with its changes on it. So you have the original layer plus the Nick layer.
Right.
Luminar will apply it to the layer that you've sent in for the change.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
So that way you can still get back to your original and maybe do a double process or triple process or whatever.
Right.
Okay. And then you can, you can go in here and, and again, we could do the same thing. We could use AI structure, kick the structure up. So what I do is I will normally kick up the structure just a little bit before adding the glows. And again, what it does is it gives you some tooth and you go almost to where it's like, oh man, this is way too crunchy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and now I'm going to go into like mystical. And let's throw a little mystical blur on. Oh, look at that. See,
Oh, wow.
I'm still holding the detail, but I'm getting this. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And let's see if this will give me one. Let's see if I apply that. Let's see whether it'll give it to me. Yes. So it did it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it says, because I'm looking here in my history, it says Color Effects Pro 4. So something's hinky as usual with all the continuous changes in the software. So anyway, any questions on that? Because that's right there. That can put you in a lot of places to play.
Right, right.
Now, if you've got that, and I'm also going to upload this video so that you can review it anytime you want.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but I will hook you up. Okay. Ooh. Set up professional audio and audio settings. No, I think I'll wait till another day. Okay, so let's kill this one and say don't save. Let's get back to, and you know that if you hit, since I'm going to throw shortcuts at you, and if I go over your head, please don't, don't yell at me. But if you hold down the command and the tab key,
yep,
you can very easily snap through to your next program.
Right. Okay, that I do remember doing. I always forget it, but I know it's there.
Yeah, I don't use it as much here. I use it a lot on my laptop because I've only got the single screen. But when I'm spread out over my two screens, I don't think about it too much unless I'm trying to get to something totally different that I haven't done for a while. Okay, so let's go look. Let's go play with a different image. I wonder if my other Papagayo stuff went. Oh, a Papago Park. Let's go. Maybe I just put those in there. Oh, there they are. That's when you got, no, not the birds. Not those. Birds, go away. That's not. I have some other Papago Park stuff that has some really cool palms, but since we don't have those, we'll just infrared miscellaneous. Nah. Looking for just something a little different here.
Part of the reason I'm wanting to kind of get a good feel for what I'm doing is I leave for Africa in a month.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So you don't
I'm going to be out there for 10 days, and then I'm going to swing through Paris for 3 days on my way home.
Gotcha. Cool. Careful in Paris. Lots of pickpockets.
Yes.
Keep your stuff tight. Wear something inside. And
when I was there 20 years ago, we were sitting on a bench and we actually watched like 3 different things happen where they rode up on one of their scooters, grabbed a bag, and was gone.
Yep. Make you crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so I found the folder I was looking for.
Okay.
Let's see. So we got, these are palm trees. So when you're looking for your, things to pull out the infrared camera rather than the color camera,
Uh-huh.
in my mind, many times it has to do with time of day.
Right.
Your subject matter is going to be, you're going to be looking for some, and you know what? The weird part is you may find things that will just excite the hell out of you that have nothing to do with what normally is infrared.
Okay.
Remember that infrared will give you, super high contrast.
Uh-huh.
You can have just a really clean black and white. If we had just stopped processing where we were and didn't go for the blooms and the one other thing that you might want to remember to look at when you're doing a full infrared, quote unquote, is to maybe add a little noise as well.
Okay.
Add noise. It's under the filter menu.
Right. Yeah, I know where it is. Now, why would you add the noise to it? What does that do for
Because in the traditional days, there was a super grain pattern. And actually, rather than adding noise, you may want to go into Nick, or Nick has a thing for adding grain.
Right.
Or now actually Photoshop has it on the way out. You may want to add that to your thing. Okay. I usually wait though, instead of doing it on the way out of Photoshop, I would usually be adding noise at the very end. Okay. And what that does is it kind of pulls things together a little bit. I mean, you don't want to overdo it where somebody goes, "Oh, look, that thing's really noisy."
Right.
What you want to do is just have, it's part of, going back into the history of infrared, that it was always kind of, it was grainy as well because it was processed the way it was processed, the way the film kind of just worked.
Okay.
And again, all of this is to taste. Okay, so now a lot of times, clouds against the blue sky. If you get a really good cloudy day rocking and you got some acacia trees with some green on them, and then you got an elephant in there. Oh man, so you can play with things that way. So let's go to and you know what? Sometimes it's fun to play with letting the sun hit the lens.
Okay.
Whether it is or not, that would be, but that's something to look at because it is an inherent weirdness of infrared that, especially when you go to a wide angle lens that has a circular front, like the 7-14, I don't know what you got. But if you got
the 8-4, I think it's the 8-14, 8 to something.
8 to 18, 16. 8 to 6, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So when you put that on, it could, and what you want to do is you want to practice with those first and see what happens. Take the camera out. One of the things to learn how to see how your camera is seeing is get out there.
Right.
Just go shoot a bunch of different stuff and bring it back in and say, oh, okay. And let the sun hit the lens and then cover the lens so that you've shielded it from the light coming down, et cetera. And then you'll start to learn a lot faster than just what I can tell you.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So we're going to, let's see who we got here. Oh, there we go. That's a cool one. Okay. So let's look at, that's a little underexposed. That's okay. This is an older thing. So I'm going to open this up. So that's a little underexposed. I'm going to hit auto. Let's just see what happens there with auto. Man, it's just, Photoshop has gotten so much better. I'm going to leave this pink on.
Okay.
Because there's another way to process infrared. It's going to give you a totally different look. So I'm going to say, okay, let's bring the highlights down just a little bit more. Let's open up those shadows just a little bit more. Add a little more black. Open up the white just to, oops, I don't want to blow those out. Just that touch more. Okay, so it's weird, but after a while, you'll start to see how these will play when you start with from here. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and open that up in Photoshop. So we're going to go to the channels palette. Channels, where are you? Channel mixer.
Okay.
Now in the channel mixer, you've got this is your properties bar over here. And what we want to do is the output channel is red we want to take the red and move it to 0 or 0, hello, I say 0. And then we want to take the blue and make it 100.
Okay.
And then we want to go to the blue channel and take the blue, and make it 0. Oh, but even, as you look, see what happens as you got. So there are all these options in between of saying,
Right.
ooh, that's maybe a good start for something right there. Okay, but we're giving you the official way first. And then we make it's a red channel. So now we have the channel mixer in there. And the channel mixer has taken us there. I usually use the method I just showed you. That's my favorite. But I'm just showing you that there's all these different ways to get to different places. What was the other thing that you're supposed to do here? Okay, so lots of things there. Up Command Z, leave green alone. And then from here, you could add a black and white. And then from within the black and white, if you look here, if you change the reds, nothing happens. If we change the yellows, nothing happens. So the black and white is just black and white. Okay. Oh, there we go. In the blues, something's happening. What happens if we go under? There we go. So anyway, this is okay, I lied. If you go to lifepixel.com,
okay,
they have a lot of tutorials on different ways to process out your images. So let's just say we're happy with this one here without the channel mixer. We've just gone to black and white. Weirdly enough, do you know that on all these filters, this little finger here, if you give it the finger and you slide it one way or the other, it will change.
Okay.
So it's right here where it says right over the under the word preset.
Right.
There's a little slider finger.
Okay.
So when you put it in there, whatever you select, whatever you click on, if you drag it down or up or over or back, see how the red's moving?
Yeah.
It's seeing the reds. So what happens if we go in here? Oh, it's still in the reds. Looks like it's picking up that magenta. So we could go in here. Oh yeah, because it's all reds. So it's basically, that's why none of these are doing anything. Okay. So anyway, anytime you're working when it's a color image underneath, it will enable you to, whatever color it sees, it will then move that slider as you go back and forth.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So what was I going to show? Oh, okay. So let's say we went through and processed this all the way through, and we were happy with the black and white. We've got our glow on there. We've added noise if we want. The other thing that you can do is to just go in and tone it. There's a sepia tone. Gosh, it just looks so totally different.
Oh, wow.
Or, and one of the ways, so in this, I'll give you my sepia tone recipe, which is real easy. It's a U saturation layer, and U is set to 30. Saturation is set to 18. And lightness just stays.
Right. Okay.
So you can turn that into an action, and you can have it's a really nice sepia tone for people too, as well. I've just found this to be a really good one. I found this many.
That's a nice tone. Yeah.
Yeah. Just turn it into a thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, just turn it into an action. And then you can tweak it as well if but for whatever reason, it seems to be that those are the numbers. When you go up a little bit, it's like, ew, it starts to get like icky.
Right.
Right. So, if you think of it, there's a lot of different ways to tone your images. So we can go, you can go to Oh, let's look at color balance. So we could kick it over to a cyan, a little bit of blue, and be like a cyanotype.
Mm, interesting. Okay.
So you can, and again, you can dial in whatever mood you want. And that's just using the midtones. I haven't really even, we could go in and say, you know what, the midtones, that's good. But how about in the highlights? What if we take it into the highlights and oh, boom, look at that. That cyan really, that's again, I usually crank things all the way one way or the other, just to,
See
to
what the
see,
extremes are and then
go to
dial
the
it in.
extreme and then pull it back and go, oh, that's working.
Wow. That's interesting.
So that gives you, so many more options. There's a lot of people who are shooting color infrared now. I personally like the 720 nanometer that we have, because it has, just the nice thing. But if you go into Life Pixel and you do the channel swaps and stuff, you'll have more color in your image. I personally don't like that, but I wanted to make sure you knew it was available.
Okay. All right.
Because I've got people that do some color stuff, and it's like, or they do spot color, and they let the sky go blue and the foreground is yellowish, for the leaves and stuff. I mean, there's ways to move again, everything. Do you do luminosity mixing or
I
luminosity?
haven't yet. No, that's not something I've learned how to do yet.
Okay, that can be a big help here, because if you can dial in and say, I just want the tones, I just want these black tones, but I don't want to touch anything else. Learning how to do luminosity allows you to touch tones within your image and adjust them, and it makes a mask for you.
Okay.
I use, where is it? Oh, it's not in here. Look up Raya Pro, RAYAPROW. Guy named Jimmy McIntyre. He used to be down in, I think, New Zealand. He's in England now. He has a free palette that you can use.
Okay.
That you push a button and it goes, oh, look at those tones that I've got. I've got all these highlights down from this level up, or these darks, or, and then you can swap those. You can say, oh, I've selected the darks, but I want the lights. And you can just, do a Command I
to invert it.
Invert it, and then you've got the other selection, or Shift Command I if it's in a selection. But that enables you to go in and start touching individual pixel areas without having to make selections or try and get, in between these things right here. How are you going to get in there? If it's already selected for you, it makes it really easy. Do you do Flern?
No.
Aaron Nace Flern?
I have not experimented with it on his
Okay,
site.
he's got a really good teaching site, and he has things. Let's see, do I have it here? Actions. Let's see if I've got them. Learn Sharpen is good. Whenever he does a class, inside of his class, he also gives you all the actions that he's worked with, or all the brushes. If he's teaching you how to do hair and fix hair and do things like that, he gives you the hair brushes. Okay, this is a beard brush, and this is a brush for curly hair, and here's a brush that you can, if you do this, this, and this with this brush and change this setting, look what happens. Oh, look, you can, it's a pretty good little thing. If you want to get in there, I am a Flern affiliate. So if you are going to go do that and you decide you can go check him out.
Okay.
His teaching style when he first started out was a little bit, this is a little too weird. I don't know if I can keep watching this. He still has the energy though, and he's toned down the weirdness. And so it makes it doesn't put you to sleep watching him work. But when you look in here,
in Ella's workshop, she mentioned his site.
Okay. Go to Success. If you want to go in there and you want to do it, go to successful-photographer.com. I have a link on there. That'll get me a couple of bucks.
Okay. All right. You got it.
Okay. So within here, so let's see. So Jimmy McIntyre has a free, what they call Essentials, a free palette that will do this same type of stuff. It's a different way. He also sells a more advanced version where you can go in and I want to select just the blue color in this tone. And, so it's really, it can get really advanced, but it makes it really hard to learn as well. But within the Flern one, if you do the Flern luminosity mask, and to me, I think it's like $10 a month.
Okay.
And with the $10 a month, he's constantly producing new material. And then, like I say, he does a nice job. So right here it says, create all luminosity masks. I wonder what happens there. There it is. All the masks are made. Well, why is that helpful? Well, what did I do? Where are you? Window. Channels. Hello. Channels. Get back in there. Why did you get out? So if you look here are all, let's turn this back. I'm going to make that go away for now. But if we go in here and let me put a layer up first. Put a blank layer up, go down here to the channels, and look, we have lights 101. Does that look what we want? If we command click on that, look, it's already selected everything that's only super light.
Oh, wow.
If you're like, no, it's not got quite enough, when you look in closer and you say, you know what, I really wanted a little more darkness in there. So let's undo that. Command Z, go to lights 2. And command click in there. Oh, look, we've selected a different set of lights. And so the way to use that is then go up to your layers palette and then say, you know what, I want to adjust my lights a little bit. So I'm going to go to curves. Now I have curves and I already have, what the hell happened there? That's weird. I gotta tell you, sometimes when I'm teaching, it really makes me crazy. Get rid of that. Okay, for whatever reason, it did something weird. But here is my selection right here that's on this layer. So now I can go into my curves and look, it's just brightening
Just
those tones from that light, slightly brighter than the brightest. And we could go the other way, go back into channels and say, you know what, and it does midtones and stuff, but let's say I want to do only the darks. So I can command click in there. And once you're command clicked in there, go back to the layers. Oh, that's why. And go back out here and say, yep, I want to do curves again. Don't ask me. I don't know why it's doing that. That's a weird thing. Okay, so we're back to curves. And now, well, I guess it's the darkest of the darks. We can't even see it. But anyway, so you can select just those tones and then make adjustments. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just the black. There we go. Oh, here we go. Beep. Okay, so obviously I'm not getting exactly what I want. How about command command I? Let's go back the other way. Back in here. Command I. Let's do it that way. Now back to curves and okay, so I'm doing the opposite of that. But anyway, you get the idea that once you've mastered those selections, now you can go in and just take a brush and go whoosh, and do things to that spot without having to, get in there and do all those tiny little selections.
Wow.
And Aaron shows you much better how to use his system. I haven't used his luminosity stuff for a while. So, but in his lesson, it's like, okay, this is how you make the selection. Here's how you feather that selection just a little bit. And then you can paint with like 10% and just paint black. Okay, there it is, there it is, there it is. Okay, good. And so you can really just bob and weave in just the tones that you want.
Through it. Okay.
Yeah. All right.